this regard. Gabon reiterates its commitment to the peaceful settlements of disputes between United Nations member states, and we continue to call on parties to de-escalation and to invest in ongoing negotiations in good faith in order to bring an end to this war, of which the consequences are already visible beyond Ukrainian territory. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Gabon for his statement. I give the floor to the representative of India.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our deepest condolences to the family of Ambassador Jim Kelly and members of the Irish mission. I thank USG Nakamatsu for her briefing. We have carefully noted the points made by USG regarding biological activities relating to Ukraine. India attaches high importance to the Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention as a key global and non-discriminatory disarmament convention prohibiting an entire category of weapons of mass destruction. It is important to ensure full and effective implementation of the BTWC in letter and spirit. We also believe that any matter relating to obligations under the convention should be addressed as per the provisions of the convention and through consultations and cooperation between the parties concerned. As outlined yesterday, India remains deeply concerned at the progressively deteriorating situation in Ukraine. We welcome the latest round of diplomatic talks between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. We believe that immediate cessation of hostilities and diligently pursuing the path of dialogue and diplomacy is the only way forward. It is important to undertake this engagement, keeping in mind the need to respect the principles of the UN Charter, international law, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of states. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of India for his statement. I give the floor to the representative of China.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, on behalf of all the colleagues of the Chinese mission, I wish to express our deep sadness at the passing of a DPR of Ireland, Ambassador Jim Kelly, and extend our sincere condolences to his family and the colleagues of the Irish mission. China has stated its position on the Ukraine issue many times. Under the current situation, it is the shared desire of the international community to achieve a ceasefire as soon as possible to avoid more civilian casualties and prevent a massive humanitarian crisis, which is also what China is hoping for. Direct negotiations between the parties concerned are the fundamental way to solve the problem. Russia and Ukraine have held 4 rounds of negotiations, and also they are staying in touch with each other. With negotiations continuing, there is hope for a ceasefire and a peaceful future. China will continue to facilitate dialogue for peace. We support the United Nations and all parties in ramping up mediation efforts and hope that all parties can do more things that are conducive to promoting peace talks rather than adding fuel to the fire. Behind the Ukraine crisis is the issue of European security. It is our hope that the United States and the European Union and NATO can sit down with Russia for an in-depth and comprehensive dialogue and explore ways to put in place a balanced, effective, and sustainable European security architecture based on the principle of indivisible security, so as to achieve lasting peace and stability in Europe. China's position on weapons of mass destruction and biological security is consistent and clear. China stands for the complete prohibition and thorough destruction of all weapons of mass destruction, including biological and chemical weapons. China resolutely opposes the development, possession, or use of biological and chemical weapons by any country under any circumstances, and urges countries that haven't done so to destroy their chemical weapons stockpiles as soon as possible. Complying with the Biological Weapons Convention is the obligation of all state parties. We call for early negotiations on the establishment of a BWC verification regime, which will help improve the global biosecurity. China was once a victim of chemical and biological weapons. China believes that any information and lead on biological military activities should trigger heightened concern and attention of the international community to avoid irreparable harm. In this regard, relevant parties should take a responsible approach. Russia has further revealed the newly discovered relevant documents. The party concerned should respond to questions and offer timely and comprehensive clarifications to remove the doubts of the international community. We do not consider it too much to ask, and on this issue, no double standards should be applied. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of China for his statement. I give the floor to the representative of Mexico.
Thank you, Mr. President. Allow me to begin by joining those colleagues of ours in expressing our most sincere condolences to the Irish delegation for such an irreparable loss. We're grateful for the briefing by High Representative Nakamitsu, and we take note of the information that she has shared with us, particularly her reconfirmation that the UN has no knowledge of biological weapons programs in Ukraine. As we mentioned at a previous meeting, Mexico believes that the Convention on the Prohibition of the Development, Production and Stockpiling of Bacteriological and Toxin Weapons is the fundamental instrument of the multilateral disarmament regime to address these matters. The Convention contains mechanisms for the resolution of disputes through consultations and cooperation. These should be used where any state party deems it necessary. If there are so many doubts or new information, as has been suggested, why don't you proceed along the terms of the Convention? The Council can't be held hostage to contradictory signs. One day, one matter is raised, the next day, something's postponed, the next day, it's substituted for something else. Mexico will continue to be open to dialogue and to constructive negotiation. However, to move forward, there should be reciprocity on this effective commitment to dialogue. Less than 24 hours have passed since the last Council meeting on Ukraine, and the humanitarian needs continue to grow. What is urgent is a cessation of hostilities to ensure the unhindered supply of humanitarian aid to whomever might need it without restrictions or exclusions. Thank you very much, President.
I thank the representative of Mexico for his statement. I shall now make a statement in my capacity as the representative of the United Arab Emirates. At the outset, we express our deepest condolences to the Mission of Ireland over the passing of DPR Mr. Jim Kelly. We express our condolences to his family. I thank Ms. Izumi Nakamitsu for her briefing. The use of biological weapons or any type of weapons of mass destruction by any party under any circumstances is unjustified, cannot be justified. It is an attack on humanity as a whole. The use of these prohibited weapons requires an international response. Those who are responsible for the use of these weapons must be held accountable, as they constitute a violation of international law. The prohibition of these weapons, including through the Convention on the Prohibition of Biological Weapons, is one of the most important achievements of the international community. Thus, maintaining the consensus based upon which this prohibition was established is part of our responsibility to maintain international peace and security. In conclusion, UAE renews its call to use all diplomatic tools to alleviate the suffering of civilians and to stop hostilities. This would in turn allow for reaching a peaceful settlement of this conflict according to international law and international humanitarian law. I resume my function as President of the Council. The representative of the Russian Federation asks for the floor to make an additional statement. I give him the floor.
Thank you very much, President. Propaganda, disinformation, amateurism is unbased imagination, false flag operations. That's what we've heard today. Some statements are practically, literally repeated their statements from the 11th of March. If you haven't heard anything new in our statement today, it's because you weren't listening to us. We provided not fiction. We've not something found in the dark web, but we provided new material and documents which we disseminated. These documents have signatures. These documents were prepared on the basis of cooperation between the Ukraine and the US in the biological field. And if you can verify what we provide, then I'd ask you to look. But I think that anyone who needs to be able to find this. If you want to do so, then do so. But don't make unfounded accusations of Russian propaganda, but reply to the questions that we asked. You're refusing to do so simply because you've got nothing to say. Rather than this, you're trying to accuse us of intention to deploy biological and chemical weapons against Ukraine. This is real cynicism, isn't it? We've already warned about the fact that we know, and we officially warned that we do know, and we do have information about Ukrainian nationalists using chemical agents in some regions to carry out a provocation and then accuse Russia of having done it. This is a false flag operation. I say that we didn't listen to us properly, particularly the US. We didn't say, as the representative of the US claimed, that Ukraine itself has a military biological program. This program, we said, based on the documents that we have, is something that the US itself has, not Ukraine. And Ukraine, in this case, is being kept in the dark. And we already provided you with facts, talked you through them, about the spike in Ukraine of dangerous, lethal diseases, which there's no explanation for them with no.
أشكر ممثل الاتحاد.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement. There are no more names inscribed on the list of speakers. The meeting is adjourned.
The F-15EX is no true competitor for Russia or China. The United States Air Force maintains the largest and most technologically advanced Air Force in the world. Attaining and maintaining air superiority has been a top priority of the U.S. military leadership since World War II. This has resulted in a never-ending pursuit of advanced technology to deal with the current and projected enemy threat. Recently, a proposal has been put forth to produce a variant of the F-15 to add to the United States Air Force's current fighter inventory. To some, this has resonated positively. However, upon further investigation, the rationale and validity of this proposal fall apart. As a former F-15 pilot, I love the aircraft. It was my first and the only frontline fighter I flew throughout my 40-year career in 2,500-plus F-15 flying hours. It pains me greatly to write this one, but decision makers must accept what I have. The F-15's air superiority days have come and gone. The fifth-generation era has arrived, and the global near-peer threat is evolving to meet that capability. General William R. Looney III, U.S. Air Force retired, served 40 years in the United States Air Force and retired as a four-star general. During his career, he commanded an F-15 squadron, 2 F-15 fighter wings, and an air expeditionary force in Southwest Asia, in addition to numerous other command tours. The F-15 Eagle, designed in response to the Air Force's requirement for an aircraft dedicated solely to the air superiority mission, was first flown in the early 1970s. Like the P-51 and the F-86 that were the greatest air superiority fighters of their generation, the F-15 was the greatest air-to-air fighter of its generation, the 80s and 90s. However, like the P-51 and the F-86, the F-15 has been surpassed by a more
Russian helicopters beg for mercy with these tiny missiles.
How's it going, Spare Parts Army? I'm your average infantryman, Chris Cappy. Today we're talking about the MCX weapon, chambered in the revolutionary new subsonic 300 Blackout caliber. This weapon and its ammo type are designed specifically for U.S. Army Special Forces operators. That's right, regular old infantry like me legally can't even look at it. The rifle, I mean the pistol, wait, what is this thing exactly? Seriously, the 300 Blackout is a pistol caliber that identifies as a rifle. So it's basically a .762 caliber bullet that's been placed in a cut-down 5.56 cartridge, which when I say it out loud, it sounds like a really unholy union, but in practice, it's a beautiful thing. When I fired the gun, it sounded about as loud as a hot, sweet nothing whispered into your ear. It's one of the US military's newest calibers that they've created, only recently becoming a thing in 2015. Now, I'm most excited about this ammo type because it seems we're only just starting to scratch the surface of this 300 Blackout's potential abilities, and I'll tell you what I mean in a minute. So what you have to understand about this setup, the weapon and the ammo, is that it's extremely niche and mainly used for close quarters, high value target elimination missions. It's often been said to be analogous to a surgical tool for Delta Force operators. The MCX and the 300 Blackout ammo are kind of a package deal designed for one another. They're seen together everywhere. These two are inseparable, like PB&J. Troops continue to debate just how niche the 300 Blackout role actually is, with some believing it's only good for one job, very short-range engagements with a short 9-inch suppressed barrel. You had one job, 300 Blackout, while other soldiers praise it as a kind of magic bullet that defies all logic, performing well even at medium to long ranges in some examples. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to decide for yourself which perspective is correct. Now, you know me. I'm a God-fearing man of science. But when fired, the MCX 300 Blackout made me literally wonder out loud what kind of black magic and witchcraft, what kind of sorcery was afoot here. I was hitting targets 200 meters away in the standing position with what felt like zero recoil and zero sound signature. Honestly, the first time I pulled the trigger on the MCX 300 Blackout, you can see I was caught off guard because I thought the gun had misfired and that the bullet was a dud, or I'd forgotten to load the magazine or something, because I shit you not, I heard and felt almost nothing. Voodoo, I say. It almost makes me want to pretend we're all the way back in 2010 and say that this experience was pretty dang epic. So the ballistics of this thing seem to defy all logic by reaching 650 meters per second with 1,500 joules of energy. So 300 Blackout reaches similar energy levels to your Soviet 7.62, but an AR-styled weapon using standard AR magazines at full capacity, which, if you don't know this or not, that's kind of a magic trick all in and of itself, because it's been traditionally very difficult. No one could figure out how to get the rounds of that shape to work in an AR-style magazine in the past. Basically, what this means is that the MCX is firing a very spicy meatball at the enemy. Trust me, as a Long Island Italian, I know my spicy meatballs. Typically, 300 Blackout ammunition is described as having more recoil than the US Army's standard 5.56 caliber, because 300 Blackout has more powder loaded into the cartridge and the bullet weighs more. I think a lot of this reduced felt recoil that I was experiencing had a lot to do with the fact that I was firing it from a suppressor, a Special Forces specifically designed suppressor. That's what this weapon was made for, a specific contract by the company. So this suppressor mitigates recoil by trapping gas in its internal baffles. Let's take a look at this X-ray image of suppressors. Those suppressors look like an Adam and Eve sponsorship. Not the case here. So the round was also a subsonic load, so it traveled under the speed of sound, or another way of saying that is that it travels less than 1,215 feet per second. And this quiet factor is a key distinguishing reason as to why Special Forces operators even wanted to use this unique setup in the first place. So you see, in the early 1990s, SOCOM noticed that their 9mm pistol caliber, the MP5 submachine gun, was ineffective against modern body armor. So they created a laundry list of capabilities for their new dream close quarters combat weapon and the ideal caliber to go with it. It needed to be as quiet as the 9mm, but with high energy, better penetration power, and it needed to be compatible with the M4 family of weapons. These were the requests from SOCOM. So basically a mix between a pistol caliber and a rifle's capabilities. The haters will say it could never be done, but look away, skeptics, lest ye be blinded by the 300 Blackout. It's just so happened that in the early 1990s, a firearms
Ну що, сепари йобані, готові к моєму спідпалу?
SK Industries was tinkering around
Беріть
with a
побільше
caliber
води,
that fit the bill.
бо це не
J.D.
один не
Jones
хватить права.
is this expert who many look at as the father of modern subsonic ballistics. In 1990, Whisper, which would be a quiet subsonic high-energy round. The problem was that 300 Whisper didn't have a certified national standard size and dimension, so the US military is unlikely to use it without that stamp of approval. Without a standard ammo size, the rounds have a greater chance of misfiring or not. As a wildcat round, just roaming around the wild without any regulations on it from SAMI, which is the US organization that verifies. It stands for Sporting Arms and Ammunition Manufacturers Institute. It was created from a strong recommendation of the US government in 1926. Since then, it's become the go-to standard bearer for ammo dimensions and safety around the world. They literally wrote the book on official ammo standards and safety. So I won't go too deep into the woods here with all this ammo talk, but we're on the cutting edge of ammo potential here. What basically happened here is that Wildcat cartridges, meow, are what many patented non-standard ammo types are. So in order for the US military to use this ammo, it needed a SAMI-approved version. The Army wanted something exactly like the 300 Whisper. In 2009, Advanced Armament Corporation, AAC, they started designing their own cartridge based on the 300 Whisper called the 300 Blackout. This ammo would use a standard dimension that was approved by SAMI. For some reason, I picture SAMI to be like the DMV, but for ammo. They're kind of boring, but without them, we'd be completely screwed, right? Robert Silvers is the Director of Research and Development for AAC, the company that developed the 300 Blackout caliber that the military uses, and he explained the situation best when he said, quote, A military customer wanted a way to be able to shoot 30 cal bullets from an M4 platform while using normal bolts and magazines, and without losing the full 30 round capacity of standard magazines. We couldn't have just used the 300 Whisper because Remington is a SAMI company and will only load ammunition that is SAMI standard cartridge. We had to take the 300 Wildcat concept, determine the final specs for it, and submit it to SAMI. We did that and we called it 300 AAC Blackout. Once the new ammo type was created and approved by SAMI in 2011, it became very popular for the high-speed, cool guys with beards and international missions, the Special Forces operators. The Netherlands Special Forces also acquired it, so did Portugal, Poland, and Ukraine Special Operations, SBU Alpha Group. They also use the 300 Blackout in the MCX weapon. It's most popular as the personal defense weapon used in security details for VIPs. So you can see this tool was created to solve special operators problems, or as an average infantryman, I like to call them first tier world problems. General Austin Miller's bodyguards were seen carrying the MCX 300 Blackout in Afghanistan, weighing it at just 7 pounds with only 0.7 pounds heavier than the MP5, while having more than twice the effective range, similar recoil, and the ability to defeat soft body armor. The thing is, the MCX 300 Blackout is better than the pistol caliber submachine guns because of its versatility, being able to load supersonic or subsonic ammo with greater penetrative power. So what is the magic? What's the secret sauce in the 300 Blackout? So rifle gunpowder cartridges fired out of a short 9-inch barrel typically have a hard time achieving velocities of 2,000 feet per second. But by using the very different behaving pistol powder, which are designed to burn faster, it's able to finish burning by the time the bullet leaves this short 5-inch barrel. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people out there who dislike the 300 Blackout caliber. They point to the high rate of bullet drop past 300 meters. Its velocity is about 1,000 feet per second slower than your traditional 5.56, which is going to affect the terminal ballistics, meaning the way the bullet behaves when it hits the target. So if you're one of those long-range snobs who can hit targets past 1,000 meters, then sure, this might not be the round for you, and I respect that. AAC, or AAC, officially estimated that your 300 Blackout with a 16-inch long barrel would have a max effective range of about 450 meters, which is pretty impressive. You know, it's giving the 5.56 a run for its money. I can appreciate why they nicknamed the MCX the Black Mamba, after the deadly snake that is native to the sub-Saharan Africa. Just like the 300 Blackout caliber, this Black Mamba snake is capable of lethal striking at considerable range and delivers a series of shots in rapid succession. A lethal strike. The MCX might look like an M4, but it's very far from it. It's actually similar to the NGSW BID, just smaller. It uses a short stroke gas piston that helps reduce recoil compared to the long stroke used in AKs. It's incredibly compact at just 26 inches in overall length. It has a dual recoil spring that runs nearly the length of the upper receiver, which increases reliability and gets rid of the need for a buffer tube in the stock. One of the main reasons they chose this design was specifically so the MCX could run short 6 or 9-inch barrels that typically wouldn't work with your direct impingement M4. The gas adjustment valve on the MCX rifle allows the operator to switch between settings so they can reliably cycle the 300 Blackout ammo, which cycles differently.
Аккуратно, жив? Сюда бьет. Так, она точку не распалила.
очень четко дали понять, что любые грузы, которые будут заезжать на территорию Украины, которую мы будем считать перевозят оружие, станет
Or maybe he's got to go on Vern's shoulders.
We got Toss holding Pfeiffer. Kelly is not tall enough. Major issues here in Portland.
Why don't we get him?
What a play! Give her the mop. Now she's got it! Oh, what a play!
Ви гангстери?
No.
Ні, ми українці. Ви гангстери?
No.
Ні, ми українці.
гуманность не позволяет нам сниматься на фоне данной техники. Доносите до всех, что не все так просто в Украине. Ваши солдаты здесь могут только хорошо расти на полях. Расти в званиях они здесь не будут, на этой земле.
Металлолом повезли.
On this if it sees that it's to its economic benefit, to its political benefit to back Russia. The United States, President Biden, for his part, is going to make sure that that answer for President Xi Jinping is no. It is not in our interest to back Russia. Okay, I think we are clear until 4P. I think we are. They haven't sent anything. Are we clear till 4? Okay.
Become an owner.
Now for a look at some of the other top stories making headlines today. Moderna is asking the FDA to authorize a second booster of fourth shot of its COVID-19 vaccine for all adults. This Moderna request is broader than Pfizer's submission earlier this week, seeking FDA approval for an additional shot for adults 65 years or older. And University of Pennsylvania swimmer Leah Thomas just made sports history as the first transgender woman to win an NCAA swimming championship after finishing first in the 500-yard freestyle. She's also set to compete today in the 200 freestyle and the 100-yard freestyle tomorrow. In other sports news, St. Patrick's Day became St. Peter's Day when the 15th-seeded St. Peter's Peacocks beat second-seeded Kentucky Wildcats 85-79 in overtime last night in the first-round game, shaking up the sports world and some of our March Madness brackets. But one of the most impressive plays from a game last night didn't come from one of the players on the court. After a ball got stuck on top of the backboard during Indiana's game against St. Mary's, Indiana cheerleader Nathan Paris hoisted his teammate Cassidy Cherney 13 feet up into the air to retrieve it, saving the day and providing the tournament's first viral moment. And pressure on Putin. The House votes overwhelmingly for more economic action against Russia, but even that comes with its own set of drama. That's next. You're watching Andrea Mitchell Report.
Dicen que dinero ahorrado, 2 veces ganado. Pero nunca nos dijeron que se podía ahorrar con el envío gratuito de millones de artículos en Amazon. Digo, sean más específicos con el proverbio, muchachos. Esta ha sido otra lección valiosa de Amazon.
The General Insurance presents Shower Ballads by Shaq.
And I'm gonna keep on loving you, 'cause it's the only thing I wanna do.
Turns out, everyone does sound better in the shower. And it turns out, The General is a quality insurance company that's been saving people money for nearly 60 years.
I just wanna keep on loving you.
For a great low rate and nearly 60 years of quality coverage, make the right call and go with the General.
The General Auto Insurance Services, Inc., Insurance Agency, Nashville, Tennessee. Some restrictions apply.
At the Invitation to Lexus sales event, amazement is your +1.
Hey, Lexus, how can I help you?
Because this is your invitation to get behind the wheel of our most advanced lineup ever and discover an experience that can only come from Lexus. The Invitation to Lexus sales event. The invitation is always open, but the offers only last through March 31st. Click the banner to discover more. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
To show you how easy it is to file a claim with Geico, we hired a nature show host.
In the native habitat of a suburban driveway, the poor victim of a broken windshield is left assessing his vehicle, utterly helpless.
Well, not true. If he's got Geico, he can file a claim
We are
online,
prepared,
over the phone,
using
or
the
any
iPlan,
mobile app.
to go through that DMAG and budgetary process. We also have a close eye on budget, on continuous resolution. You know, some of this are new starts, and I think all of us know that new starts can be challenging in a CR environment. I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm not convinced that slowed where we've been right now. But in the future, if that becomes a way of practice and it becomes...
First pick. Sorry, kids.
Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision?
Okay, here's the plan. Pass me the ball every time.
This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
From the moment it hit my tongue, it's like my senses were strapped to a high-powered rocket. But the rocket was made of a memory foam pillow. Then, just like that, I was ready to start my morning. That's the thing with Philadelphia cream cheese. You don't just taste it, you feel it.
Text and whatever.
Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
There's only one place to find the most recognized brand in carpet, Stainmaster, and that's at Lowe's. Right now, get free basic installation with the purchase of Stainmaster carpet and pad, $4.99 or more. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Install available in-store only. Requires non-refundable site assessment fee. Fee is credited to final project price if bought through Lowe's. More charges may apply. Not available in all areas. See Lowe's.com for details, exclusions, and licensure. Valid 2/19 through 4/13. U.S. only.
This is Dan. Dan uses Navy Federal Credit Union to save and invest. Luckily for him, Navy Federal takes the legwork out of managing his money, which gives Dan time to work on other things, like his new auctioneering hobby. If you want to be like Dan, learn about our savings and investment options at NavyFederal.org/save and invest. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission.
Bidder number 63.
Savings products insured by NCUA. Investment options are available through Navy Federal Investment Services and are not insured by NCUA.
Hey, y'all. We're the Antonellis. And we own Antonelli's Cheese Shop in Austin, Texas.
With our Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One, we earn unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase. And it has no preset spending limit.
So our purchasing power adapts.
The House voted to strip Russia of its preferential trade status. The bill now moves to the Senate, where it's also expected to glide through. Underscoring the broad support for punishing Putin, the House passed that measure in a 424-8 vote. The only no votes coming from a group of far-right Republicans. Joining me now is Ben Rhodes, former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Obama. So the only no votes, Ben, came from these 8 Republicans who, I mean, I just can't imagine why they insist on, some of them criticizing Zelensky, calling him a thug, and playing up to Vladimir Putin.
Well, Andrea, you know, the sad reality is that over the last 5 years, with the polarization of our politics, there's this faction of the Republican Party that included the last Republican president and the still de facto leader of the Republican Party that feels some affinity for Putin's ideology, his kind of ethno-nationalist, strongman, authoritarian approach to politics. And you would think that this war had shocked them out of that. And the reality is one of the positive aspects of America's response to the just horrific invasion of Ukraine has been the rest of the Republican Party somewhat getting its act together on these issues and falling in line with a forceful response to what Russia's done. But clearly, I think that those 8 are indicative of kind of a deeper rot in the far-right part of the party that is still there.
And we should also point out another supporter was the former Secretary of State, at least until he started cleaning that up, Mike Pompeo.
Yeah. Well, you know, and the thing is that the reason this matters to some extent, right, is that the comments that were made by President Trump calling Putin a genius on the eve of invasion, the praise heaped on Putin by former Secretary of State Pompeo, the praise from Tucker Carlson, and even these types of members of Congress, as fringe as they may seem to us, this gets a lot of play on Russian propaganda. They seize on to things that can be used on their television channels and on their kind of bombardment of disinformation and misinformation and propaganda. So it does have the effect of giving Putin some lifeline to say that there's a diversity of opinion in the United States, and some people agree with us that Zelensky is a thug or that the Ukrainians are somehow the instigator, or that somehow this is a situation where both sides have legitimate views of the situation. Clearly, that is not the mainstream of opinion in the United States, Europe, or the democratic world here. But I think it's imperative that people stand up and say that this is not what representative of what we believe. And I would hope that one of the things that could come out of this is the Republican Party seeking to kind of do away with that creeping brand of Putinism inside of its own ranks.
And also joining us now is Jonathan Lemire, the White House bureau chief for Politico and host of Way Too Early right here on MSNBC. And picking up on that, Republican Congressman Madison Cawthorn, Jonathan, came late to the Zelensky speech, number one, and less than a week after calling Zelensky a thug and saying the Ukrainian government is incredibly corrupt. And now this is all being picked up by the Russian propaganda machine. So we no longer have politics stopping at the water's edge. That's an old-fashioned kind of idea, I guess.
Yeah, no, nothing's out of bounds now, unfortunately. And I think that there are I've heard some Democrats who use the phrase useful idiot for Congressman Cawthorn there, and others who in the United States, whether the Republican Party or conservative media, who are doing the Kremlin's bidding in some ways, wittingly or unwittingly. And they're showing support and allowing themselves to be showcased in Russian propaganda. But that's certainly the minority opinion, and it's one the former president has to deal with as well. Donald Trump, of course, Andrew, as you well know, cozied up to Putin quite a bit while he was in office, and even at the beginning of this conflict a few weeks ago, called him savvy. He's since walked back some of that, but we should not, of course, forget years' worth of praise he offered to Putin. But it's an uncomfortable moment for some of the Trumpists in the party, and I think the House vote yesterday was indicative of those. It was nearly unanimous. I believe it was like 420 to 8. There were only 8 opposition votes in terms of the revoking the trade status, and those 8 who opposed it, all sort of, we would say, the far-right fringe of the Republican Party. It's certainly a minority opinion.
And Ben, we're getting the first readouts from President Biden's call with President Xi today. You're an expert, a veteran of those kinds of calls. The tension certainly has been rising over this. How do you read the tea leaves coming out of that call from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs?
Well, I think the Chinese are trying to walk a line here. And one of the noteworthy things in the readout was the Chinese reaffirming that war is not the way, is in nobody's interest, was the phrase that they used. And that's in keeping with China really preferencing stability in the international system. And it was a kind of veiled and implicit rebuke to some extent of what Russia's done. And it might indicate the substantive question is whether or not they're going to provide military support to China. And what we've seen is the United States warning that China might be preparing, or Russia might be asking China to send military aid. You saw Europe also come out and say that they have concerns about China providing that type of assistance. So the readout seemed to suggest that China would want to stay out of the conflict and might not be inclined to provide that military support that Putin very badly might need, given the losses of equipment and capabilities that we've seen on the battlefield in Ukraine. On the other hand, you saw the kind of Chinese language seeking to cast some blame on the United States, and it didn't seem like China wanted to play an assertive role in trying to end the war or trying to side with Ukraine. So to me, what I took away from it is, China wanting to kind of stay out of this, keep its head down. And the one hopeful note is perhaps that means that they won't be providing that military lifeline to Putin.
Or money, the financial lifeline, perhaps most importantly. Ben Rhodes and, of course, Jonathan Lemire, thank you both. And reality control, Vladimir Putin celebrating in Moscow today, 8 years after taking over Crimea, rallying Russians to his cause in a huge soccer stadium. Coming up, former CIA agent and the creator of The Americans, the hit show, Joe Weisberg, joining me. But first, amid the remains of a residential area in Ukraine's capital, following a Russian attack on Kyiv, this message from the mayor of Kyiv. And he will be coming up on MTV Daily. Chuck Todd speaking live with Vitaly Klitschko, the mayor of Kyiv, right here on MSNBC. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.
It's time to get your checking account to zero with free checking from PenFed. That's zero ATM fees, zero balance requirements, and zero time spent waiting for your paycheck to direct deposit because you can receive it up to 1 day early. Open your account with just $25 and see how big zero can be. Apply online today at PenFed.org/free checking. Early direct deposit eligibility may vary between pay periods and timing of payers' funding. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA.
Don't leave breakfast behind. With fast, easy, and delicious favorites like Just Crack an Egg, Kraft Singles, and Oscar Mayer Bacon, you always have time to make it a great morning. So wake up to delicious and find them today at a grocery store near you.
Family. It looks a little different for everyone. For some, it's mom and dad. For others, roommates who feel like family. And for others, it's your significant other, their golfing buddies, your children, a high school soccer team starting lineup, and oh look, they're all taking you up on the offer to stay for dinner, really testing the limits of that phrase, the more the merrier. But no matter where you call home, Geico makes it easy to bundle and save on home and car insurance. Easier than making 3 frozen pizzas and assorted frozen veggies into a cohesive meal.
The deals are blooming at the JCPenney Spring Sale, starting with an array of doorbusters while they last, like men's and women's jeans from A&A and St. John's Bay. Select styles and washes just $21.99. And Linden Street Performance bath towels in all your favorite colors, only $5.99. Or use your coupon to save an extra 20% across the store. Spring's back, and so are the savings. JCPenney offers valid 3/7 to 3/23. Some exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details. Doorbusters excluded from coupons.
Your happiest spring starts with Lowe's. And Lowe's has everything your lawn needs to look good. Like Scott's Triple Action Lawn Fertilizer starting at $29.98. And save $30 on the Craftsman 20-volt trimmer blower combo kit. Was $129, now only $99. Create a season full of green and get the most out of spring. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, about 3/17 through 3/23. U.S. only. Scott's offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Nerds! Dreaming of a change of pace? Let NerdWallet help you compare your way from here to there. Compare investing accounts to expand your portfolio and your horizons. Then, use NerdWallet to compare mortgage rates for a home with peace and quiet built in. Compare your way there. Find the smartest financial products for you on NerdWallet. NerdWallet Compare Inc. NMLS 1617539. NerdWallet is not an investment advisor nor an investment broker. Information is for educational purposes only.
You've got style, and we've got the soul you need. Tune In Soul Groove is here to smooth out your day with the vibes of the 70s. Love those Motown love songs? Hear them here.
I've got sunshine on a cloud.
Want those velvety smooth vibes from Marvin Gaye? We got you. Catch the best in classic R&B and soul and find your moves on TuneIn's Soul Groove.
If you're a sports fan, filling your time between games can be excruciating. Thankfully, TuneIn has a full slate of podcasts so you can hear sports content any time of day on any device. Listen to Undisputed with Skip and Shannon.
That's what I was there to say. You care about winning, right? That's what you said.
ESPN's First Take.
So, Stephen A., that was you on NBA Countdown
The Bill Simmons Podcast for sports, A-list interviews, and more.
What it means when somebody's in year 19 and he's played.
No matter what your favorite sports podcast is, hear it here on TuneIn.
Into school for 2 years and they need to get back into good habits. They're on social networks until 5 a.m., so the idea is to encourage them to get up and see a point in coming to school. There are never more than 12 students in this class.
To the Russian people.
in China's WeChat. But it was taken down after, I think, approximately a week, which is a very long time.
Oh, that's a long time,
Chinese censors did leave it up for quite a while. So that suggests to me that there's ongoing debate and discussion, but that doesn't necessarily mean that is influencing the decision-making level. So that's always a question mark. I think regarding the video footage that you referred to, there seems to be more attention on Chinese TV in the last few days to the war itself, to some of the human casualties, even some of what I've seen on Twitter from China's CGTN media is highlighting that Ukraine's interests should also be protected. So the question is China beginning to rebalance its position? Maybe they are going to try to highlight the fact that Ukraine should get some support from the international community. And let's remember that China itself has now begun to give humanitarian aid to Ukraine. But I would expect that even if they are trying to show support for Ukraine at the same time, let's not lose sight of the fact that they're not criticizing Russia. They haven't called this an invasion. They have said that Russia's legitimate security interests should be protected. And they have said that the 5 waves of NATO expansionism are to blame for this war. So this is a position I don't think that we will see Xi Jinping modify because he really values the relationship with Russia.
Bonnie Glaser, you are giving a whole new definition to how we read tea leaves. I mean, I think you are getting the fine print in there for us as well. Really helpful. Thank you for coming on and sharing your expertise with us.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, my exclusive one-on-one with the mayor of Kyiv. What he really thinks about Putin's tactics and what he needs from the West to save his citizens and his own life.
Nobody have safety in our city. Nobody have safety in our country. It's every citizen of our country is target.
With Masterclass, you can learn from the world's best minds, anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. Learn the art of filmmaking with Spike Lee, or how to bring your creative vision to life with Issa Rae. Try songwriting with Alicia Keys and cooking with Gordon Ramsay. The possibilities are endless. With over 100 world-class instructors ready to teach you, that thing you always wanted to do is closer than you think. Get 15% off your annual membership today at masterclass.com/learn. That's masterclass.com/learn.
Is your savings just sitting there? Well, put it to work. A premium online savings account from PenFed earns way more than the national average. So you can get your savings working on earning you a vacation, or a new kitchen, or that fancy exercise mirror. Apply at PenFed.org/savings. Premium online savings account holders must agree to electronic delivery of account opening disclosures and monthly statements. $5 minimum required to open an account. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA.
PenFed's got great rates for everyone.
From the moment it hit my tongue, it's like my senses were strapped to a high-powered rocket. But the rocket was made of a memory foam pillow. Then, just like that, I was ready to start my morning. That's the thing with Philadelphia cream cheese. You don't just taste it, you feel it.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The General Insurance presents Ordering a Sandwich with Shaq and Hall of Fame announcer Michael Buffer.
I'm going to have roast beef. What do you want, Michael?
Let's get ready for pastrami on rye.
Turns out, Michael Buffer talks like that all the time. And it turns out, The General is a quality insurance company that's been saving people money for nearly 60 years.
Spicy Dijon mustard.
For a great low rate and nearly 60 years of quality coverage, make the right call and go with The General.
The General Auto Insurance Services, Inc. Insurance Agency, Nashville, Tennessee. Some restrictions apply.
The deals are blooming at the JCPenney Spring Sale, starting with an array of doorbusters while they last, like men's and women's jeans from A&A and St. John's Bay. Select styles and washes, just $21.99. And Linden Street Performance bath towels in all your favorite colors, only $5.99. Or use your coupon to save an extra 20% across the store. Spring's back, and so are the savings. JCPenney offers valid 3/7 to 3/23. Some exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details. Doorbusters excluded from coupons.
Your happiest spring starts with Lowe's. And Lowe's has everything your lawn needs to look good. like Scott's Triple Action Lawn Fertilizer starting at $29.98. And save $30 on the Craftsman 20-volt trimmer blower combo kit. Was $129, now only $99. Create a season full of green and get the most out of spring. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, about 3/17 through 3/23. U.S. only. Scott's offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
And start saving today.
Welcome back. Ukrainian forces and everyday citizens have now been defending Kyiv for more than 3 weeks and been doing quite well, despite these Russian attacks, including on civilian targets, and they're continuing to intensify. You're looking at video from earlier this morning of former heavyweight champion and the current mayor of Kyiv, Vitaly Klitschko. He was touring damage from a Russian shelling attack in a residential area. The mayor says that the attack killed at least one person, injured 19 others, and destroyed multiple homes and a kindergarten. Yet the city still keeps going. I spoke to Mayor Klitschko earlier today, and I started by asking him about that devastation he was seeing firsthand and the current situation on the ground in his city. Take a listen.
Every morning we have racket attack in Kyiv in last week. Every morning, the rackets shooting the apartments building around the Kyiv. Already died more than 200 people, 6 children, and many hundreds of people injured. It's the target. We're really disappointed. We're really upset. The target, civilian apartments. Civilian people died. And it's every day and every night we listen alarm, bombing alarm, siren, and everybody have to go to the bunker. Thousands of people living in bunker already weeks long.
How are you able to keep the services going? You've been able to keep the city as functioning as possible under these circumstances. How have you done it?
We right now are responsible for service for the millions of people who stay in Kyiv. We have actually electricity, water, heating, gas, and for services. A couple of days ago, the rocket shooting in gas, we have huge explosion, and we fixed the problem in a couple of hours, but the risk is huge, and if the electricity will be not in the Kyiv, it will be big infrastructure problems, because it will be very bad situation.
You've seen the reports of other mayors being kidnapped in other cities. You've seen what they're doing to Mariupol, trying to essentially starve the city of resources. Have you thought about how concerned are you that you're a target? You personally are a target of Russian forces for kidnapping purposes, propaganda, or worse. And how much protection do you have?
Actually, nobody have safety in our city. Nobody have safety in our country. It's every citizen of our country is target, especially self-government. The Russians try to kidnap the mayors of another city. By the way, a couple of days ago, the mayors of Gostomel who bring the medical stuff and food to the citizens was killed from Russians. Yes, of course, the Russians want to destroy the infrastructure and bring the chaos to the cities. And I don't care about me. I'm care the citizens give me rights to defend the interest of people in my hometown. It's priority for me. Not. I don't think about me by myself, but I more care about the citizens who have to receive become the service, medical care, food. Right now, it's we can if something doesn't work in Kyiv, it will be humanitarian catastrophe.
What more do you want from the United States? What more do you want from NATO?
Stop economical relationship with Russia, because every dollar, every euro, what Russia's economy became, they invest not in the economy, they invest not to the people, they invest this money to the army. And after that, we have horrible results in different countries as Georgia, Transnistria, and right now we have horrible pictures from our country, from Ukraine. And that's why stop economical relationship with Russia is very important. Never support the war in Ukraine. It's very important. It's very important to understand. And right now, sanctions work very, very well. Ukraine needs support, economical support, political support, financial support. We need modern weapons because we have to defend our country from one of the strongest armies in the world. And our soldier is heroes who have will and spirit to defend our children, families, and future of our country.
You have described Ukrainians and Russians, your brothers. These are brother nations. Can you imagine being able to make peace with Putin still in charge of Russia on that other side of that border?
Russians use media as propaganda. They liars. They explain some bad things about Ukraine. In Ukraine, in government, radicals, nationalists, fascists, and it's liar. It's liar because, for example, myself, I'm in self-government. I'm mayor of capital of Ukraine. I have nothing against Russian nationality because in my body, half of my blood is Russians because my mom is Russian.
Right.
We have, for example, our president, he has the Jewish background. And
right.
It's not about nationality. It's about the values. It's about the aggressive politics of Russian governments regarding Ukraine. And right now, the population in Russia is zoned from propaganda. They explain daily 24 hours liar. Everything, I'm sorry, bullshit about Ukraine and liar from morning to evening and explain the not true information give to anyone. We try to give, it's very important, the media is much more important than weapons. And that's why it's a good example. Just Russian TV channel, Russia Today, have budget much more than budget of capital of Ukraine. More than $2 billion US.
Look, you make an excellent point about how much they use propaganda. So let me close with this. Can this war end with Putin still in charge of Russia?
Difficult question. I'm not ready to give you a clear answer. And right now, all experts around the world try to find the exit from this situation, to stop the war. This war depends from one person who sits in Moscow, in Kremlin. And for him depend the aggressive politics. That's why our unity of democratic countries, unity of the world, everybody have to put so much energy to do everything to stop the war. I don't know. So many experts talking about some compromise. I don't know which one we have to find to stop the Russian. We have just one way today. Just defend our families, our countries. By the way, I'm very appreciative for government of United States. For United States, very appreciate for humanitarian help. Very appreciate for financial support. Very appreciate for weapons delivering because we stand in front of one of the strongest armies in the world, and our soldiers show the great performance because they have a spirit, they have a will. We defend our homes.
Mayor Klitschko, you're defending our values too. So thank you for the fight, and I hope we have your back. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Stay together with Ukraine. Thank you very much for your help.
Former heavyweight champ and Mayor of Kyiv, Vitaly Klitschko. Up next, a massive humanitarian response effort now underway in Dnipro as medical officials race to help the thousands of displaced Ukrainians victimized by this senseless Russian assault. You're watching Meet the Press Daily.
It's time to get your checking account to zero with free checking from PenFed. That's zero ATM fees, zero balance requirements, and zero time spent waiting for your paycheck to direct deposit because you can receive it up to 1 day early. Open your account with just $25 and see how big zero can be. Apply online today at PenFed.org/free checking. Early direct deposit eligibility may vary between pay periods and timing of payers' funding. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA.
Don't leave breakfast behind. With fast, easy, and delicious favorites like Just Crack an Egg, Kraft Singles, and Oscar Mayer Bacon, you always have time to make it a great morning. So wake up to delicious and find them today at a grocery store near you.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us, no matter how big or small your business is. Earn back when you spend, get exclusive offers, and paint rewards. It all adds up to help level up your business. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards and Partnership Program today. Minimum purchase required. Earnings and paint rewards awarded as Lowe's e-gift cards. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. Valid through 12/31/22. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty Terms. Subject to change. U.S. only.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So I used the savings from switching to Progressive 30 years ago to buy tickets to the championship game. You know, between those two teams that didn't exist 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm a big Alaska Palm Trees fan. Which is a team now? In the future?
So switch to Progressive and save big because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
The deals are blooming at the JCPenney Spring Sale, starting with an array of doorbusters while they last, like men's and women's jeans from A&A and St. John's Bay. Select styles and washes just $21.99. And Linden Street Performance bath towels in all your favorite...
A once daily Trelegy and save at Trelegy.com.
Welcome back. A staggering new estimate just released by the United Nations. Nearly 6.5 million people in Ukraine have been displaced from their homes in that country since the start of the war. That is on top of the more than 3 million refugees who managed to get out of the country. So that's 10 million if you're doing your math. But millions of Ukrainians remain inside active war zones. And while Russian troops do not control cities like Kyiv, they have made it difficult to supply cities and move in and out of areas, leaving many Ukrainians without basic supplies, leaving many medical professionals without the ability to treat victims. In Mariupol, which has been completely besieged by Russian troops, water is scarce, food is running out, and the city is mostly cut off from electricity.
Перелякані маленькі собачки завжди показують зуби.
И мы видим, как героически действуют и воюют наши ребята в ходе этой операции.
Россия! Россия!
Эти слова из священного писания христианства, из того, что дорого тем, кто исповедует эту религию. Но все заключается в том, что это универсальная ценность для всех народов и представителей всех конфессий России. И именно для нашего народа, в первую очередь для нашего народа. И лучшим подтверждением тому является то, как воюют, как действуют наши ребята в ходе этой военной операции. Плечо к плечу. Выдающихся военачальников. Ни одного сражения. Он как-то сказал, что так было так всегда. Спасибо.
باب الحق خوذتنا ومسجدنا معسكرنا وحق الله يحفظ